All right, we've been talking a lot about quarterbacks, and with the new signing of Kyler Murray of the Cardinals, just looking at where Jalen Hurts is going to fill in on how much it's going to cost, if the Eagles are going to commit to him going forward as their next quarterback. Can't do anything till after the year's over, but if we're projecting a little bit, and John is scared spitless that the money.
I got a dog. I'm not scared, but
okay.
I'm trying to. I'll try to say it this way, Jody. I'm trying to think of a path where I would pay Jalen Hurts $35 million, and I can't find that path.
Hour number 2 of Birds 365 on a Football Friday with your Mac guys, McMullen and McDonald. Thank John Stolness for hopping on board. I'm sorry to put him in a weird position with BLG coming up.
BLG's a friend. Yeah. I'm with you.
BLG is whack. Now, wait a minute. He's a friend of mine. He's been loyal to me. He's come here on with us on Birds 365. He comes on WIP. Whenever I ask him, he's like one of my favorite people on the planet. The hell is he thinking about? JAKIB Sports as the second best safety in the NFC East?
He doesn't like the safeties in the NFC East. His honorable mention.
What's wrong with Epsy?
What? Yeah, I'm with you. Well, all right. I'm going to defend BLG. Tart has started a lot of games in this league. I think it was 63 with a really good defense, by the way. In San Francisco, at least at times. He's a lot more proven than Marcus Epps. Marcus Epps is mainly projection. Like J-Ron Curse had a good year. He had him as an honorable mention with Dallas last season. Yeah, I do think age comes into it with JAKIB Sports. It is what it is contract-wise. San Francisco gives him the better minimum. He's got a chance to make a little bit more this year. I mean, the league is telling you what they think about JAKIB Sports. Yeah, but from a proven standpoint, he's proven more than those guys. So I guess that's the route BLG took. That's my guess. Obviously, I can only speculate. I guess he's going with the proven option.
Okay.
But then, Blake Martinez with the Giants. That's a good football player. Yeah.
He's like one of the leading tackling
guys.
He's
coming off an injury.
NFL for years.
Yeah, but he's a really good player. Really good player, linebacker. If he's healthy, and we'll see how he bounces back. So, everybody's got their opinion.
And he's got Kaiser White in front of your guy, TJ Edwards, who you say is the most underrated player on the Eagles.
Everybody's got their opinions, Jody. I got mine. People aren't liking them today. TJ,
most of the time I love BLGs. I think he's whack today.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't agree with those opinions, but I understand the proven nature of going JAKIB Sports over Marcus Epps, at least.
Well, but if you're going proven nature, you got to put Blake Martinez at it, Kaiser White. So he goes back and forth between the two stances. All right, we'll get BLG on next week and let him attempt to defend himself. All right, we've been talking a lot about quarterbacks, and with the new signing of Kyler Murray of the Cardinals, just looking at where Jalen Hurts is going to fill in on how much it's going to cost, if the Eagles are going to commit to him going forward as their next quarterback. Can't do anything till after the year's over, but if we're projecting a little bit, and John is scared spitless that the money.
I got a dog. I'm not scared, but
okay.
I'm trying to. I'll try to say it this way, Jody. I'm trying to think of a path where I would pay Jalen Hurts $35 million, and I can't find that path. That's my concern. That's my personal concern. I'm not saying the Eagles aren't open-minded. I'm not saying they've made a decision, although I think they've shown their leanings by, snipping around Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. I think they understand they have to get better. I think they'll be in a very similar situation next year as they were this year. They will try to get better. Maybe they can't get better, and maybe Jalen Hurts is back. But I'm trying to find the path. I say the same thing with Miles Sanders in a contract extension when I say that. Like, how does he get a contract extension? How do you get Jalen Hurts to be worth $35 million? I can't. We just talked. John Stolness. We're talking the Lions, right? Jared Goff made the Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo made a Super Bowl, almost got back to a second Super Bowl. I'm not saying you can't be successful and make a Super Bowl, but I don't want to pay those guys either. And I think I'm right on that one. I think everyone would agree with me that they don't want to pay Jimmy Garoppolo and they don't want to pay Jared Goff. And I think if you do, and teams did, they're making mistakes. How do you get a path to $35 million? Forget about 45. I mean, that ain't happening. 35, Kirk Cousins range. How do you get there? I can't get there, Jody.
Fair enough. All right. So let me see if I can characterize your position. If you'll sign off on this, if this is the way I would characterize what you've been saying as of today. The Eagles right now, and it can surely change, but right now, as we sit here today, you believe they're in an untenable position. Could you use that word to describe it?
I would say they're in a very, very difficult position. Is it untenable? No, nothing's untenable. They proved that with Carson Wentz. You can just eat money but yes, it's very difficult.
If you want to use the word difficult, if that fits better in your eyes, they're your word. So I'm going to let you choose whatever word you want. Difficult works for me. Who's to blame?
They misevaluated Carson Wentz. When you misevaluate at the quarterback position, it has a devastating effect because they've already been in it. The numbers have only gone up. Now Carson Wentz's extension looks quaint now. At the time, it was the most money ever given to an NFL player. That's how quickly things go up and up and up. At the time, in fact, I remember when he signed the extension and people were going nuts about that. I said, this is going to be a really, really cost-effective deal very, very quickly. And it turned out to be right. However, the player failed.
Right.
So it doesn't matter.
No, so that means it turned out to be wrong.
Yes.
Your position of it could be cost-effective was right. Then you have the result.
Yes.
And you say whether it was or wasn't cost-effective. No, it was costly.
No.
It was $33 million dead cap hit costly.
Which is what I said. When you misevaluate players, that's where the mistake comes in. If they didn't misevaluate Carson Wentz and he turned into what they thought he was going to be, everything would be hunky-dory. Everything would be great. But they misevaluated the player. So once you do that, they went all in. They put all their eggs in the Carson Wentz basket. People don't realize that. There's revisionist history since because of what went down. No, the Eagles didn't plan on Jalen Hurts starting. They never wanted Jalen Hurts to be a starter. They drafted him to be a cost-effective backup for 4 years, and then they were going to do the old Eagles magic and try to spin him off for a second round or hopefully a first-round pick if he played well in the preseason or he played well in the game here or the game there. But they were forced to play him and throw him in. So the crux of the entire issue goes back to misevaluating Carson Wentz. And it's a perfect example, but people are living in it. Like 10 years from now, Jody, we'll still be doing Birds 365, and we'll look back at this entire thing and say, wow, that really screwed up the Eagles for this time. And they're trying to get back to where they think they have a franchise quarterback.
All right.
They're not there yet.
I guess I need to tighten up my question because you answered it, but you didn't answer it the way I wanted you to.
I rarely do.
I asked you who's to blame.
Who's to blame? I need to
put a comma individually, into my question. It's the overall Eagle organization. You're right. The way you answered it was perfectly fine. I didn't ask the question correctly. Who is the number one individual to blame for the Philadelphia Eagles being in the quarterback position / conundrum that they're in right now?
I personally think it's Carson Wentz, but you have to give it to Howie Roseman from a fan's perspective. It's Howie's job. I think Carson Wentz to me is to blame because he stopped doing what he was doing that made him successful. He came in as a very raw player. He had a taskmaster as a position coach in John DiFilippo, who he did not like, but John was a hard ass and he forced him to get his mechanics better. And he went out and worked with Tom House and Adam Dadu. Same thing Jalen Hurts did this year. And he got better. And that was before the Super Bowl season. And then he stopped doing it. Now, partially because of injuries. Originally, when he had a number of injuries, then the pandemic hit. And then his mechanics scaled back. But, I mean, ultimately, the Eagles have to see what's going on. So, ultimately, they have to make that decision, say, this is not going in a positive direction. So, I mean, Howie Roseman is to blame. He's always to blame. I mean, if a player, it's his watch. So, I mean, he misevaluated the player. The organization misevaluated the player, and that's Howie Roseman first and foremost.
All right, this will not be popular, but I'll give you my three guys in reverse order. Number 3 would be Carson Wentz. You just can't discount the injuries. Do I think Carson Wentz showed his true character here over time when the going got tough? Carson got the hell out of Doc. I don't like Carson Wentz a little bit. But when we're talking about what transpired over time here with the Philadelphia, you can't take the injuries out of it. It's the number one, I think, reason that things went badly here in Philadelphia. And he got the injuries trying to make plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. It wasn't like he got bit by a shark surfing when he should have been working out during the offseason to try and get better. No, he got hurt on the field to play for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's not his fault. So that's why I would put him no higher than number 3. Number 2 is Howie Roseman. He moved up to get Carson. He, in collusion with Jeff Lurie, decided to make him the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, and they misevaluated the player. So Howie's got to be, there's a big different distance for me between Carson and Howie Roseman. Number 1 is Doug Peterson, because I think Doug Peterson should have pulled the plug on Carson Wentz, and I don't even know if he would have had the gravitas to do that, but I'm assuming he did. So let me ask you a question, and I'll finish my rundown. When Carson Wentz was replaced, that fateful night against the Green Bay Packers, do you think Doug, in game, it had to be Doug's call when he made the decision to start Jalen Hurts the next week? Do you think that was all Doug's call? Do you think Doug had to ask permission to do it and wouldn't have done it if Howie Roseman / Jeff Lurie didn't sign off on it? Do you think Howie and Jeff had a call waiting for Doug when he showed up at his office on Monday morning and said, please come to the office, and they dictated terms? How do you think that went down when Carson Wentz was replaced by Jalen?
They always call them, and they always had those meetings. They were a little bit overblown. Jeffrey Lurie would have his Tuesday meeting with Doug Peterson. So I'm sure the questions were asked, but no, it was Doug's decision. And he probably stayed a little bit too long with Carson. He was very loyal to him. Which is ironic because Carson stopped talking to him. But, yeah, he stuck with him longer than he should have. But, when you're the head coach and you've had success with that type of quarterback, and understand, Jalen was a rookie and Jalen wasn't prepared, as you saw at the end of that season. So it wasn't like it was going to get better, just throwing a young quarterback into that disaster of a team. But the Eagles had to do it. He benched himself, but Doug didn't want to bench him. I don't blame Doug. I just don't. I mean,
yeah, I do.
If
he had pulled the plug earlier, we would have gotten more of a look at Jalen Hurts, and we would have had a better read going into last season, and maybe the Eagles are more motivated. Maybe they are more driven to get another quarterback or to go in another direction if Jalen Hurts isn't good enough. Or maybe Jalen Hurts would have benefited from playing more the previous season and been better this year, and we feel better about him. It's on Dougie P. He's the number one reason that the Eagles are in the untenable position.
But I don't think it was that close at the time. People, again, I think there's a lot of revisionist history. I mean, it was like Carson and Jalen, was down here. There wasn't even a thought of that Jalen Hurts could potentially play. Now, Carson took it the wrong way, but from the organization standpoint, there was never, they just got him because Carson was always hurt. That's it. And they would need somebody to throw in there with some talent if they had to win a playoff game, not a 42-year-old guy with a torn hamstring. I mean, that's why they brought him in. So it was never really that close. And, as a head coach, you're trying to right the ship with the guy you think is going to be the long-term quarterback. And Doug's assuming he's going to be the coach. And Doug's assuming you're going to get out of that terrible season. And Carson Wentz is going to recover and bounce back. That was the plan. That was the thought process. That's why I blame Carson more than Doug. But, Doug paid with his job. So
right. But you remember how bad Carson was in 2020.
Oh, yeah. He was the worst starting quarterback in the NFL.
And that's the reason why I'm going to put it on the coach could have pulled the plug earlier on Carson Wentz than he did. And this is, of course, all speculation as to what Jalen Hurts would or wouldn't have done, how the minds of the organization may have changed. But I would have liked to have seen more of it, Jalen. In 2020 hindsight, which is always a beautiful, perfect thing, I would have liked to have seen more Jalen Hurts because we also know in 2020 hindsight, Carson Wentz was not only not going to continue here, he was not going to be able to cut it with the Indianapolis Colts, and he'll return to do a solid for the Philadelphia Eagles this year when he doesn't take the Washington Commanders.
Who do we have on? Somebody, Jeff Mosher, yesterday said, Carson's got more talent than Jalen Hurts. So if it clicks, there's another guy. So when everybody's yelling at me, yell at Mosher. Yell at Stoltis, by the way. John's playing politician, and he ranked, as I said, the Eagles' positions. He's got safety last. Who's second to last? Quarterbacks. And it's not Gardner. Gardner's a good backup.
It's second to last just in the division.
No, he's ranking the Eagles' positional rankings. Offensive line is first. So he's ranking the groups on the Eagles, and offensive line was first, safety was last, second to last was quarterbacks because of.
Would you not agree with that?
Oh no, I agree with it. Yeah. But everybody seems to be getting mad at me for pointing out that
you have to comp the group to the rest of the National Football League. And
no, the groups, he's comping the groups of the Eagles. In other words, offensive line is the strongest position on the Eagles. And then comes, I think he had
right. But how do you come to that's their best group? By comparing the Eagles to other teams' offensive lines.
Oh, well, sure, that's part of it. But they're really talented on the offensive line. They're not really talented at quarterback. They're not really talented at safety. That's my point. Now, they got a good backup quarterback. If you were just comping backup quarterbacks to the rest of the league, Gardner Minshew would probably be top 5, top 10 at worst. I would argue top 5 as a backup quarterback. So he's not the one bringing you down when you're talking about a positional group. Maybe Carson Strong is as a third string quarterback. But I don't know where this sort of hemming and hawing is that this player is not a $35 million a year player. I don't know where that path is, Jody. That's what I'm trying to find. Yeah, I can't find that path.
I don't think backup quarterback moves the needle. I would tell you Chad Henne sucks, but I'm still going to put the Kansas City Chiefs in my top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league because they've got a guy named Mahomes.
Well, that's
who you have to believe is going to play 95% of the snaps.
But that's my point. He's dragging it down. That's exactly my point. Nobody's paying attention.
No,
that the backup quarterback is top 5. That's exactly my point. That's why that Jalen is dragging the position down, not Gardner. That's my point.
See, now you're a glass half empty guy. I'm going to be a glass half full guy. That's how good the rest of the Eagles roster is. That it is pushed their quarterback down to the second position group, which, by the way, we're talking about 6 groups here. Is that it? So out of the 6, it's number 5. It's not like we're talking 27.
Well, we got
D-line, O-line, linebackers.
We got quarterbacks, running backs, receivers.
Are they split cornerbacks and safeties?
Yeah, defensive line, corner, safety.
All right, then there's a couple different groups. Yeah. Would you put quarterback behind running back?
Yes. Miles is a good player. Not great, but he's a good player. He's a good player. I think I've gone on this pendulum, and we got to get Dave. We got to get a break. We got to get Dave's in the green room.
Yes.
I think Miles has gone from overrated to underrated. Well, amongst the Eagles fans.
Fair enough. Do me a favor. If you have it handy, I don't know if you have it handy, the Madden ratings. Where does Sanders rank? Where does Hurts rank?
Well, I definitely don't have those handy because I could
maybe we'll ask Zingaro. He's in the waiting room, so he's gonna pop up next. He's probably got him in. He's Dave Zingaro. He knows his shit.
Yeah.
All right. Jody McDonald, John McMullen here with you on Birds 365. Quick timeout. We'll come back talk to Dave Zingaro of NBC Sports Philly.